Hey, and welcome to EUTV Sports Update. We'll be looking at the latest sports news from Evangel University and around the region. I'm Caden McBride.
We'll also look at college games across the nation and check out the latest happenings in professional sports. I'm Elijah Van Natta, and this is Sports Update on EUTV. All right, so we got a lot to look at today. What are some of the things we'll be looking at?
Well, in the Evangel world, we have some track, baseball, softball, and even some tennis. But there's even more to talk about in the professional world as well.
Yeah, we got some Major League Soccer, hockey, and some basketball to look at. So a lot of exciting stuff. Let's hop right into it.
Absolutely. On Saturday, Valor men's baseball concluded their 3-game series with Bethany College. The afternoon consisted of a 9-inning game and a 7-inning game. Each game, the Valor started off strong, which ultimately proved to be the difference. Evangel only allowed 2 runs to be scored throughout the entire Saturday, a major thanks to the talented pitching staff. The first game lasted 9 innings, and the Valor managed a 9-2 win with a notable performance from Riley Mitchell as he went 4-6 from the plate with 4 runs scored and 2 RBIs. The Valor managed a 4-0 shutout in the second game with a great pitching performance from Colby Veruska, who pitched 8 innings and only allowed 2 runs.
Evangel Valor men's track and field competed at the NAIA Indoor Track and Field National Championship on Saturday at the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex in Brookings, South Dakota. We saw great performances from all of our Valor athletes, with everyone placing in the top 17 in the nation. One athlete in particular stood out during the meet. Joshua Blakely, who placed 6th overall in the men's high jump event, earning the NAIA All-American status at the end of the competition. Valor women's tennis went to Siloam Springs, Arkansas on Saturday morning with victory in mind. Our Valor women's tennis would win game after game, putting their best foot forward and sweeping the Baker Wildcats off their feet with a 7-0 victory for our women against Baker University. Every one of our singles athletes won their sets with only 1 game needing a tiebreaker.
On Sunday, the Valor softball team competed in the Drury Softball Classic. Evangel faced off against the former Heart of America rival, Culver Stockton, and the local school, Mission University. Evangel started the first game off strong against Culver Stockton and managed to keep their game up through the entire event. The Valor claimed a 5-4 win over Culver Stockton in 8 innings. In the second game, Mission University could not seem to find their rhythm, and Evangel took advantage of the opportunity. The Valor claimed an 8-0 Mercy Rule win over Mission. Pitcher Sarah Wilkinson had a great performance, achieving her second no-hitter game of the season.
We saw some great stuff out there today. I mean, getting the NAIA All-American status and every single person on the men's track team placing top 17. That's amazing.
Incredible performance. You know, I was thinking about last week, we were talking about how the softball team and the baseball team couldn't really find their rhythm. They were struggling. But this week, they really proved us wrong on last week. They really have a great performance from both teams. So yeah, absolutely impressed with them all around.
Sweeping and just doing great against the opponents. That's
absolutely.
For sure.
Hopefully they can keep it up.
Yeah. Coming up next, I'll be here with Evangel cheerleader Carson Hallett to talk about the cheer season.
And later, we'll take a look at some of the most important NBA games of the weekend. Stay tuned.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
What a disaster.
You're a disaster.
This is a disaster.
You can't be ready for every little disaster, but you can prepare for a big one. Make an emergency plan today.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
Welcome back. I'm here with Evangel cheerleader Carson Howlett. Thank you, Carson, for being here with us today.
Thanks, Matt, for having me.
So, what inspired you to join the cheerleading team?
So at first, it was just because I wanted to come to Evangel to be a pastor. And I was like, man, I really need money. And I played football all my life. And I tried out for cheer my senior year of high school. And I felt really confident in myself. I was like, I could probably make the cheer team because I don't want to play football no more. Just with my health, my body, I was really out of shape and everything like that. So I just decided to try out for the cheer team. And next things I know is I'm on the cheer team and I'm loving it. So it's just been really great.
For sure, yeah. So you're the only male cheerleader on the team. As the only male cheerleader, how do you foster a sense of unity and camaraderie among your teammates?
Man, that's a hard one because being the only male cheerleader on the team, definitely has its disadvantages, but also has advantages, I'll say that. So I'm definitely thrown into every stunt, which is fun. But, I would say there's some separation. Not a bad, it's just natural, being the only guy with 15 other girls kind of builds this little separation, and I had to work past that. But what I fostered a community was just always inviting people to things and always checking in on them, see how they're doing. I started giving devos every 2 weeks on a practice. So it's just stuff like that. I try to humanize myself, try to just be more a part of their team and try to understand where they're coming from when they get frustrated and stuff like that. Just be someone who can listen. I kind of like Jesus. Jesus always listened to people.
For sure.
And this is something I realized, those people listened to Jesus and felt a community with Jesus. I feel like the least I can do is just listen to them. And I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So do you think that your cheerleading experience is a little different than the other females on the team, being the only male on the team?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Being the only guy again, it's hard because there's certain advantages and disadvantages. Sometimes it's just a little awkward being the only guy. Not in a bad way, it just happens. Things get awkward. You're the only guy, and I don't experience the things that they experience, and they don't experience the things I experience. So yeah, it's weird, but it's also a blast.
Yeah, for sure.
I get a lot of time in stunts. I'm always in the stunt doing something because they need me to throw the girls up or to catch or just to do whatever. So yeah.
For sure. So how do you think that the cheerleading team is performing this year all around?
I think we're performing good. I think we had a drawback at the beginning of the year. This is no shade of my coach, but it's just you got a new coach, you got a new team, a lot of people didn't know each other. So that was, first of all, that's really hard. You got a new coach, you got a new season going in. That's not easy to walk into. And this coach is completely different from our last coach. Again, no shade, I'm just pointing out the facts. And but I love her. I love our new coach. I love our new team. I think it's great. Our new coach is more competition styled, so we do a lot of harder stunts. We make sure we work harder. She expects us to work really hard in practice. But yeah, I think this year's was just a growing year and figuring out all the kinks. And I think next year it's going to be even better. So yeah, I'm real excited.
So how do you think you've impacted the success of the team this year?
Again, I think just being uplifting, having fun, just stuff like that. Just trying to be uplifting guy and motivating, because it can be really hard to stay motivated when you're cheering.
Right. And
I think the whole point of being a cheerleader is to be cheerful, right? But the moment a stunt fails in practice or a stunt just doesn't hit over and over again, you get really discouraged and you get really frustrated.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, the best thing I can do or we can do is just remember, hey, it's okay. It's a learning curve. You know, everything you ever do once in your life, like for the first time, you're not going to get it right. And that's just something that we have to focus on, is remembering that we got this.
Yeah, for sure. So can you share your favorite memory being on the cheer team so far?
Yeah. So didn't happen this year, but I think it happened last year. I have this famous bull story that the cheer team knows. I won't go into it; it's a little too long. But if you have time, I can tell you it. But basically, I remember just sitting everyone down, and all the newcomers haven't heard my bull story, and all the returners did, and it was like a classic. They're like, "Man, you got to hear Carson's bull story." It's like it happens every time at cheer camp, and cheer camp is probably the funnest time ever because everyone's learning to get to know each other. We're all hanging out. We're here for a week earlier than everyone, and when we get here, we just cheer all day. We learn our stunts, we learn our cheers, we learn our groups, we get to know each other. We do a lot of team bonding exercises. So one night we do a team bonding exercise, and I tell my bull story, and I had everyone locked in, and that's when everyone really got to know me, and it was really fun because everyone started making fun of my bull story. And to this day, I still get comments about it, so really fun.
Just some nice community there.
Yeah.
So is the cheer team hoping to employ more men soon, or?
Yeah. So we actually have tryouts coming up. It's the week after spring break, so it's that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I believe it's like the 28th, 29th, something like that, and that's a good way. We have men, because men can come try out, girls can come try out. Coach has been in contact with the guy, and I actually have got to meet him. So that was really fun. We did a little recruiting, but you know, I'm always looking around, asking guys. Like I asked you, Elijah, to come try out. So I always be asking people if they want to try out or what they think about cheer, stuff like that. But you know, I think tryouts is going to be a good way we can get some men in, just to see their talents, to see what they're doing and everything like that, and see if they're good enough. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, for sure. Well, thank you, Carson, for being with us
Yes,
today. Coming up, we'll look and see if the St. Louis Blues were able to pull off the win in the NHL. Stay tuned.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Miami turned up the heat when they played the Utah Jazz on Saturday night at home in the Kaseya Center in Miami, Florida. Every single one of the games between Utah Jazz and Miami Heat have been close up until the end when Miami wins. And this game was no different. Jimmy Butler scored 37 points this game, and Bam Adebayo added 23, helping close out the close game. Miami Heat cooked the Utah Jazz 126-120 in a win for Miami. The Miami Heat has now beat Utah Jazz 7 consecutive times in a row, each time by more and more points.
On Sunday, the Boston Celtics took on the Golden State Warriors at the TD Garden Arena in Massachusetts. Both teams showed up in the opening quarter, leading to a tied score of 21-21. However, the Celtics kicked it into gear and scored the next 14 points after that. This would put the Celtics ahead by 35 in the late second quarter. Celtics' Jaylen Brown sparked the run by hitting 3 straight threes in a 40-second span. Brown then scored 19 points in the period, connecting 5 of 8 threes to push Boston to a 44-22 lead. The Warriors missed 15 of 18 three-point attempts in the first half, allowing the Celtics to lead 82-38 at the end of the half. The Warriors could not recover from the brutal first half, which allowed the Celtics to continue running the game. The Boston Celtics managed a 140-88 win over the Warriors. This marks the 3rd largest winning margin in franchise history.
Dribbling into the world of Major League Soccer, St. Louis City FC played New York City FC on Saturday night at City Park Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. Celio Pompeu scored the match's opening goal early on in the game, and Samuel Adeniran II. With these 2 goals combined with the MLS goalkeeper of the year last year, Roman Berkey, not allowing a single goal to be scored on him, made St. Louis impossible to overcome. St. Louis blanked New York City 2-0 for their first victory of the season.
On Saturday night, the Minnesota Wild took on the St. Louis Blues at the Enterprise Center. The Blues started the game with something to prove as they were coming off of a 3-game losing streak. They coordinated well as a team and managed impressive offense. For the Blues, Torrey Krug had an impressive full length of the ice goal and assist. Jake Neighbors tapped in Robert Thomas's rebound power play. Minnesota's offense fought to keep up. John Merrill hit an impressive wrist shot in the second half to finally get Minnesota on the board. Defense was a major component of the game. Marc-Andre Fleury made 24 saves for Minnesota, and Jordan Binnington stopped 21 shots for the Blues. The Blues managed a 3-1 win over Minnesota, ending their 3-game losing streak. A lot going on in these games, but what game really stood out to you the most?
Yeah, that St. Louis versus New York City game, that was, I mean, you know, we don't talk about soccer a lot on this show.
No, this is the first time this year.
But blanking a team that's pretty crazy. Even though 2 points may not seem like a lot, in soccer that is quite a few.
Yeah.
So, 2-0 against New York City is amazing to see. And the goalkeeper not allowing any points to be scored, that's just awesome. That's a great performance by him, along with the 2 goals from the players. Their offense and defenses collaborated really well, and I mean that's what ultimately led them to a win.
Yeah.
How about you? Which one were you looking at today?
Honestly, I think the one that caught my eye the most would be the Celtics and the Warriors. I don't think anybody was expecting the Warriors to lose that bad, but they just weren't on the court really. I mean, none of their threes were connecting, but the Celtics were really hitting everyone they could. So it kind of seemed like reverse roles. So really surprised me and marked, I mean, the largest winning margin in franchise history, which is crazy. But beyond these games, we have a lot of news and just sports news to talk about right now with the people in it.
Yeah, 18 hours ago, Russell Wilson was let go from the Broncos, which is interesting after being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL last season. So, just wondering what is the future for his career. And that's just some interesting news for sure.
Sure. Well, in other news, Jason Kelce just retired after 13 years with the Eagles. So major transitions and changes coming up for these athletes. So we'll see what comes next for all of them.
As his brother is in the peak of his career, it's,
kind
crazy.
of a weird dynamic, honestly.
Crazy to see that.
Absolutely.
And then moving back actually to an athlete that we talked about a couple weeks ago from college women's basketball, Caitlin Clark had broken the women's all-time scoring record recently and is actually on track to break the NCAA men's scoring record, so be the all-time highest scoring scorer in. Wow. Yeah, that's
impressive.
That's a crazy awesome feat for sure. So,
hopefully she can do it. I mean, being on track, I'm sure she will. She's been consecutively hitting these goals.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Breaking record after record. So that's
absolutely
crazy to see for sure.
For sure. When we come back, we'll have the EUTV Player of the Week.
We'll also have your upcoming games this week. We'll be right back.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for help with food, healthcare, and other resources.
211, how can I help you?
Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211, get connected, get help. When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for mental health and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org.
Elijah, looking back on this week, every one of our teams seemed to compete greatly and just overall succeeded. So it's been a great week for Valor Sports.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm excited to see how our athletes will be competing next week and, weeks beyond that. I'm excited to see this, some of the sports news in the professional world as well. So, but let's take a second and look at one of our own athletes for this week.
Absolutely. It's time now for the EUTV Sports Player of the Week. Joshua Blakely is a freshman from Farmington, Arkansas. He competes in track and field for Evangel University. He was the highlight of this past weekend's track and field meet, and Blakely placed 6th overall in the men's high jump event with a mark of 2.05 meters, earning NAIA All-American status with the finish. He has had an amazing season this year in high jump and has been a key player in the ranking of Evangel's track and field team this season. Great performance from Blakely for sure, for sure. Making NAIA All-American is just impressive.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's not something you see very often, and especially at the national championship level, so
for sure.
That's pretty good.
And even as a freshman, too. I mean, he's just getting started, so very excited to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a look at the upcoming games of the week. On Monday, March 11th, men's golf will be competing in the EU Spring Invitational in Ozark, Missouri.
Women's golf will also be competing Monday, March 11th at the EU Spring Invitational in Ozark, Missouri.
Valor Baseball will be competing Friday and Saturday, March 8th and 9th versus Avila University. Doubleheader on Saturday. They'll be playing at home.
Softball will be competing Saturday in a doubleheader against Williams Baptist College at home.
Go Valor.
Go Valor. A lot of big games coming up this week.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Honestly, I think I'm really excited just because they performed so well last week. Really interested to see if they're able to keep this heat up and keep performing well.
For sure, and we hope to see it from our Valor athletes, and it's just awesome to see out there, so I agree.
For sure.
Well, that's all the time we have for today for Sports Update. We invite you to check out euvalormedia.com for all the latest Evangel news and media. I'm Elijah Van Natta.
And I'm Caden McBride. Be sure to join us next week as we bring you the latest in sports news. For more information on Evangel Sports, go to evangelathletics.com. This has been Sports Update on EUTV.